Qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity.
An obscure bit of legal doctrine has been getting a lot of attention lately. Qualified immunity. It protects government officials from lawsuits, so it also shields police officers when it comes to excessive use of force. Qualified immunity does not apply in criminal cases, just civil. Because police are rarely tried for crimes in these cases, critics of qualified immunity say the doctrine means police are not held accountable for their actions.
If officers know they have immunity, they act with impunity.
Defenders say abolishing qualified immunity would unduly punish officers who may make the wrong decision in the heat of the moment.
By removing qualified immunity, what you're essentially doing is not allowing police to do their job. There would be a decrease in policing in this country.
Qualified immunity was created by courts, but now federal and state legislators are debating its future. What are the options?
I would eliminate qualified immunity and put nothing in its place.
I do know qualified immunity is helpful.
We make a shift to police department insurances. We then take a healthcare model.
Allow individual officers to be liable in the same way that doctors are liable for malpractice.
We reached out to 4 people close to the issue to see what they think should be done about this hot-button topic.
The Supreme Court's qualified immunity decisions send a shoot first, think later message to officers. An officer is entitled to qualified immunity, meaning a damages case cannot proceed against them for a civil rights violation, even if they have violated the Constitution. Ending qualified immunity is the easiest, most impactful thing that Congress can do. The cases would turn on what should be the critical question in these cases, which is whether the officer exceeded his constitutional bounds, as opposed to whether we can find a prior case with virtually identical fact.
I just think it's critically important that there's a standard that allows for peace officers to defend themselves when they're acting in good faith and making split-second decisions. Otherwise, this isn't a profession that one can do and survive. So financially, emotionally, anything else. Bad times will be judged over a long period of time by many people in slow motion. And so that's where it becomes difficult and tricky to insist that we're perfect.
The Supreme Court's constitutional standards allow for officers to make reasonable mistakes. And so even without qualified immunity, officers can search the wrong home, can arrest the wrong person, can use force against someone who they say they thought had a gun when they had their phone in their hand. And so long as a mistake is reasonable, the Supreme Court's Fourth Amendment doctrine will shield them from liability.
Some say the cost for bad behavior is falling on the wrong shoulders, the taxpayers.
When an officer deploys excessive force and an individual sues, they're suing the city, right, that employs that police officer. There's no reason the taxpayers should bear that burden. It should fall on the individual officers.
One scholar says there's already a model out there to curb misconduct.
We then take a healthcare model. It's just like a physician who performs surgery, who engages in malpractice. The premium goes up. The hospital says you're costing us too much money and you shouldn't be able to do surgery here. We can do law enforcement and police officers the same way.
As lawmakers on Capitol Hill debate qualified immunity, Colorado has already made changes. Just last week, Governor Jared Polis signed a police reform bill into law, allowing officers to be liable for up to $25,000 in civil damages in some circumstances.
Part of the hope for the future is recruiting and retaining a diverse, educated, bright, group of future peace officers. And we can legislate our way right out of that. We can make it a very undesirable profession. And that will do nothing to help the problem.
If removing that protection prevents some officers from, or some people from wanting the job, I don't know that that's a terrible thing.
Carrie Cochran, Newsy.